So Hollywood's remaking another classic to update it with their current woke agenda. Now, every time I make one of these videos pointing these types of things out, certain people seem to jump at the opportunity to twist my words and label me all sorts of horrendous things. So I have to speak very deliberately and be very clear.
I mean, we don't have to twist your words, Jeremy. It's pretty clear, right? And what I love about this video and why I picked this video out of some of his recent ones is he brings up the She-Ra stuff. And he's going to say the same stuff about the She-Ra stuff that basically I can't jerk off to it anymore, is essentially what he's saying. But, yeah, he's going to bring it up and he's going to get mad because people say, make fun of him for saying he can't jerk off to She-Ra anymore because it's a 13-year-old girl. Right? But he'll bring that up because he's still salty about that a year and a half later.
This will happen. I would really appreciate it if you left a like on this video and left a comment down below, agree or disagree. Today's episode is being sponsored by...
Nope. You don't get the free ad space on there, MR Lauer. So let's...
the author and support the channel. Let me know what you think of the book. Billy Porter confirms that his...
That's who it is, Billy Porter.
version of Fairy Godmother will be genderless in new live-action Cinderella. Quote, "The kids are ready."
You can be a girl.
Yeah, the quartering is definitely... He's all sorts of different phobes, right? And I'll try to argue against it.
So non-binary, meaning...
Opposite.
Yeah, exactly. That's a bunch of crock, right? You can be one end, the other end, or anywhere in between.
That's interesting. But confusing.
Now,
I mean, and there's the little bit of the transphobia right there. Like, the reason it's put in there. Yep, trans rights.
I try not to, even though we all make mistakes or slip up at times. I try not to stand on the think of the kids type thing. And I want to be very clear in how I present my...
But this is going to be a very think of a kids thing. Thanks for the follow, Flowery Jane.
criticism here because it's cringe. This whole idea is cringe. If you want to have a genderless character in Cinderella, go ahead. Kids don't care about this stuff.
Then why are you making a whole fucking video about this if they can go ahead and have a genderless character, right? It's not that there. And what I find funny is I've, watched some of his coverage on Mulan. He kind of says, fuck the origin story or the source material for getting rid of things like Mushu and stuff from the new remake. So he'll say fuck that, but he's gonna get super pissed that Cinderella isn't exactly how he imagined. It's like, and there's nothing wrong with these different takes either, right? They've been doing them forever. Like, there's the all black casting of like Wizard of Oz, The Wiz and stuff. That was what, 40 years ago now, something like that. But yeah, or there's whole plays that are made up that retell like a different story. And reimagine things. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's part of the creative thing to... You don't want to go back and see the same story told and played the exact same way, for the next 100 years or whatever, right? It's not going to be a thing. You're gonna change things up. You're going to tell the story a little different, and things like that. And that's not an affront to the source material or anything like that.
They don't care. Hollywood cares because, quite honestly, I try to stay away from kind of like this, like, oh, it's a weird agenda. Doodle-doo-doodle-doo-doodle-doo.
That's your whole fucking thing, is that there's an agenda, right? The SJW agenda. Why are you fucking lying, Jeremy? Right? Why are you lying about what you claim to believe? Well, it's just what he claims to believe, right? I have no idea what he actually believes, because when this little bitch gets on any kind of stream that anybody pushes him on the things he says, he'll walk it all the fuck back. So he did that with Destiny, Big Joel. He walks everything he says back on there. But yeah, it's not an agenda, but we're gonna show videos and we're gonna set up our videos as an agenda. So this would kind of be a case of Jeremy dog whistling a little bit.
But it just like, it sure feels like it. Nobody's saying you can't have genderless characters in your children's movies. You have, I believe, an openly LGBT character in the latest Pixar movie, Onward, which has led it to be banned in Russia and Turkey and many other places, I'm told, or Egypt or something. Russia for sure. Fine. You know what? I 100% respect. You want to put that stuff in the movie? You want to have more, you want to represent more types of humans? Cool. In fact, I think that the only problem I really have with it is when I can prove you don't really care. For example, when Disney will edit things out to appease the Chinese market or something like that. You have,
I mean, you want to edit this out to appease you in the anti-SJW market, right? So the whole I don't care, but I'm gonna make a 14-minute video here about why it's awful SJW stuff.
The kids are ready. The kids are ready. Billy Porter continues to turn heads with his iconic style that blurs gender lines. It doesn't blur gender lines to me. This is a man who dresses like a woman. It's very clear to me. I what do you mean? You can.
It means that that clothing isn't just women's clothing, right? That's the whole idea of blurring the gender lines and all the social construct that is gender and how that stuff works, right? And kind of the stuff with gender identity. So you take things that, like you say, is, oh, it's women's clothing, and you take those styles and you incorporate and say, no, I'm a man, and here I am dressed in my clothing and stuff like that, right? I'm not in drag, I'm not a cross-dresser, I'm not any of that stuff. And so that, in effect, blurs gender lines, right? And so...
dress like a woman all you want. You're still a man that dresses like a woman. It's very clear. And the Pose star, I don't even know what that means, is preparing to bring that quality to the big screen with his next role. Or maybe it's a TV.
Yeah, they could be. I'm just assuming right here, so that's probably bad on my part. But hasn't Billy said in interviews that they're a guy? Maybe I'm mistaken, but yeah, if they're NB, they're NB, and hey, that's fine.
TV show called Pose. He recently revealed that his version of the Fairy Godmother is next year's live-action Cinderella will be genderless. The 50-year-old told CBS, quote, "It hit me when I was on the set last week how profound it is that I'm playing the Fairy Godmother."
Yeah, so he's emphasizing the M there, right? Well, so, I mean, it seems weird that he'd get all upset there. He's trying to say that the Fairy Godmother should be the Fairy Godmother, but they're just calling the character the Fairy Godmother because that's what people know the character is. It's like, oh, what are you playing? I'm playing the Fab G. Well, who's the Fab G in Cinderella, right? What does that mean? Right, and so it's this version of the Fab G is this version of the Fairy Godmother. So it's not, but Jeremy's emphasis is why he's upset about it.
They call it the Fab G. Magic has no gender. We are presenting the character as genderless. That, at least, that's how I'm playing it, and it's really powerful. You're right. Magic does have no gender, but you do. The Fairy Godmother does as well. Again.
This is the guy who get all pissy that the SJWs were mad at Scarlett Johansson for wanting to play a trans man. Or for playing a trans man and stuff like that. Right? And says that you can play it in each, you can have someone who's not trans play a trans person and act and perform that way. I agree, you can. But he's going to throw that argument out for supporting ScarJo playing it there, you know, and why he should get mad at the SJWs, and he's gonna get argue, well, so you're a man and you can't play somebody without a gender. It's like, all right, big contradiction there, Jeremy.
Another iconic classic character representing traditional motherhood gets updated with some sort of weird amalgamation.
Wait, how does the Fairy Godmother portray traditional motherhood? When has that ever been the case with the character? Right? That is a baffling line.
No, just get weird. Senorella, I am your fairy godmother. Fairy in the magical sense, not about kissing guys.
I don't care if you are offended that I think a dude wearing a hat that opens up like a shade is weird. Porter doesn't appear to be scared of the potential.
I mean, nobody's offended that you think it's weird or out there, right? I think a lot of fashion, you know, the high fashion that you see on the fashion shows is pretty weird and out there and impractical. But, you know, who cares, right? If you can afford that stuff and wear it, you know, look fabulous. Yeah, I know. Like, this would be, oh God, this is probably going to sound, trying to make this joke is probably going to sound really offensive on it here, but, you know, if the Fairy Godmother was black, these same people would be arguing it's why black poverty is the way it is, right? You know, kind of thing. I don't know. Bad on me. Bad red.
Conservative backlash. I don't think that this is a genuine representation of people that wouldn't like this. It's not a conservative or liberal thing. It's a fandom thing. It's respect for the source material. Look how...
Again, you didn't give a shit about, like in his other video on Mulan, he lost his shit about changes there, you know, and some of the change, you know, like, oh, it's not a musical. We're going to represent the legend of Mulan and stuff more in line with the legend there, so it's not going to be a Disney musical. Oh, that's messing with the source material. It's like they're going back to the actual source material, Jeremy, right? So, and you say fuck the Chinese people who don't like who didn't like the animated version of Mulan, right? Because it was disrespectful to their culture, their myths, their legends, and stuff like that. You know, so you don't give a shit about their fandom, right? It's only with you that it matters, right? And it really is generally a conservative thing that when they do this kind of thing, that backlash, right?
Aggressively, people trashed me and still do for pointing out that they took She-Ra, a strong female superhero, and turned her into a 13-year-old androgynous boy.
She-Ra's a girl. I've watched She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, excuse me. Yeah, she's a girl. It's a 13-year-old girl, right? And so Jeremy's upset that they're telling a story set earlier in She-Ra's life, but also that he can't jerk off to She-Ra anymore, right? It's, you know, it's like, oh, that's twisting his words, saying that he's upset that he can't jerk it to She-Ra anymore, and it's like, you're still salty about this a year and a half later, Jeremy, that people correctly nailed you on your position.
This is a fact. And when you expose that there is an agenda, people react very aggressively.
You said there was no agenda, and it's just something that you feel is there, but now there's an agenda, Jeremy. I mean, keep your story straight, bud.
He added that this is classic. This is a classic fairy tale for a new generation. Well, how about you make a new movie? Why is that so hard for these people to understand? And by these people, I mean people that continue to want to update classic movies. What would be so hard about having a genderless magician in something else? It's not about representation for folks. It's about changing history. It's about rewriting the classics and, quote, improving them. I think that the new generation is really...
And you get a glimpse right into Jeremy's misogyny, right? Right then and there, that they use strong female women and stuff in Terminator, in the newest Terminator, right? You know, wasn't a good movie. I didn't go see it, but from everything I've heard, it wasn't a good movie. But you know, the last several Terminator movies have been garbage, right? No matter what they do, so they're trying something a little different, trying to breathe life into an IP that makes, or for a while there had made quite a lot of money over the last 30 years now, 30 plus years. So it's just the idea of they think they want to create these evergreen properties that they can keep rebooting every so often, and it just brings them money, or they tell new stories within it, and it just keeps bringing in money because it's Star Wars. You know, it's... I wonder what... I imagine that the Valerian movie that they put out didn't sell for shit. Didn't do well at all. And that was a new IP. Whereas they put out a new Star Wars, you know, you make, outside of Solo, you make, you know, $500 million or more, right, on your movie. And for many cases, over $1 billion per movie. Right? And so that's why they keep making these and bringing these names out, is because people like the familiarity of the IP. They'll give a new Ghostbusters a chance, but they won't give some new one there. Right or left what, Two-Cart? I don't know what you're asking. But back to the video here. The reason they do it is for franchise. Like, so I'm a Ninja Turtles fan, and they've rebooted that. They're on another fifth show, fourth cartoon, something like that, and they changed things up plenty with each new iteration, because, you know, especially for the way they do it, who wants to go back and watch every episode just the same, every story just the same, every storyline the way it originally was? So when they do a new version, they'll change some of the elements around, and they'll adapt the stories the way they see the way they want it. Now, it doesn't always work. Some things they decide to do I don't like, but I have, you know, plenty of media to jump into and enjoy otherwise.
Ready. The kids are ready. It's the grown-ups that are slowing things down. Yeah. Yeah. The Tony winner recently faced a wrath.
I mean, you want to prove you're not an asshole, and you're not this bigot, Jeremy, but you're going to do that kind of stuff with your content. Red or blue? Well, if you talk about me, I'm left of center. Two-Cart.
Of anti-LGBTQ group 1 million moms over his appearance on Sesame Street. For his appearance, he sported the same black velvet tuxedo gown by Christian Who Cares. Behind-the-scenes photos of Porter wearing the dress for Sesame Street sparked a petition urging HBO and PBS to cancel the episode. He recently...
Thanks for the follow, Two-Cart.
Responded via Instagram. I know people are all up in arms about me wearing that gorgeous custom tuxedo dress I wore at the Academy Awards for the upcoming season. I mean...
All right. Have fun with that.
This dude is just interested about ruffling feathers and getting attention. I mean, that's very clear to me. If you follow me, however, you know the kind of impact it...
Oh, yeah, I can imagine the Chinese being upset about that in general. But, yeah, these guys are just as upset about it. You know, because you know, Ariel in the animated version is a redhead. And so that's part of their whole ginger genocide narrative that they hate about Hollywood. which is funny, but yeah, there's... But I mean, that version is completely different from the source material. So if you give a shit at all about the source material and being faithful to the source material, and you have the Little Mermaid animated movie that we have, you should be pissed about it, but you're not, right?
It had. The emails and DMs and messages of goodwill I received that day and continue to receive from parents of their children who have been bullied all over the world. I'm sure you got ones of emails. Of course, this is no new.
I mean, I'm sure Billy gets plenty of emails if they have their contact information open and available or something for like they probably have a fan kind of a fan club, fan letter thing that you can go out and send information to. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they got plenty of there. Like, you know, the tuxedo gown isn't something for me to wear, just because I think that'd be a hassle to get all dressed up in that way. I think it's a hassle anyways to get up in a normal tux, let alone a tuxedo gown. Isn't something for me, but you know, all the more to Billy for, with his style and all that.
New thing. Remember when E! Online Entertainment Tonight ran the story? Billy D. Williams comes out as gender fluid. Woo! Confirmed. We got another one, boys. Except Billy D. Williams actually came out and said, "What the hell is gender fluid? I didn't mean that."
I've always been intrigued with this whole idea of men getting in touch with their softer side, the gentle side. So this wasn't about sex or anything like that.
He spent more than a half century in Hollywood.
I mean, I don't know. Gender fluid isn't about sex though, so I don't know what it's supposed to be meant there. But I mean, this isn't the first time that somebody's taken quotes out of context and misinterpreted. I mean, that's kind of not the entirety of your channel. It's being way too hyperbolic. But it's definitely stuff that the anti-SJW stuff has gone over. So like the whole incidents where the prince and princess that gave up the crown or whatever, gave up their lineage and stuff, whatever it is over in the UK, they said that, or the aides said, hey, they're gonna be fluid about how they raise their I think it's their daughter. I don't know what the sex of their child is, but they're gonna raise them in a fluid way. And all the conservative outlets ran with, "Oh my God, they're raising their child gender fluid. They've fallen to the evil gender narrative, gender ideology." And it's like, no, we're just not gonna impose. And if you read it, we're not gonna impose these strict gender roles or gender ideas, traditional things onto our child, right? And so we're just going to be fluid, open, neutral about it, and they can do as they please. Yeah, it's a boy. All right, so yeah, see how much I care about the royal family.
But Billy D. Williams is still surprised. The legendary actor, the essence of black masculinity, with his velvety, smooth, bedroom-ready voice, which carried him over into a ubiquitous Colt 45 malt liquor campaign in the 80s, gave an interview to Esquire magazine about his role as smuggler Lando Calrissian in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which lands in theaters December 20th, a movie that was much maligned. In the interview, the 82-year-old actor said, "And you see, I say himself or herself because I also see myself as feminine and masculine. I'm a very soft person, not afraid to show that side of myself." Media critics, so many media outlets, picked up that quote and ran with it. Williams, they reported, is gender fluid. People praised him. Oh, how they praised him. Thing is, Williams had no idea what that even means.
So, I mean, even if Billy D doesn't understand what it means, that line, that he calls himself or herself kind of thing, is very much in line with how gender fluid people see themselves, right? So it wouldn't be incorrect to from at least these quotes to suggest maybe that Billy D is gender fluid, even if they don't understand the term or are familiar with what that means. Yeah, anti-monarchist. We all should be anti-monarchists. Get on it, Brits.
People should read. I mean, it would be an interesting education for a lot of people. Quote, first of all, I asked last night, I said, what the heck is gender fluid? That's a whole new term, Williams said in an interview with The Undefeated this week. He was misunderstood, he says. But I was talking about was men getting in touch with their softer side. This is a phrase that was coined by Carl G. Jung, who was a psychiatrist, who was a contemporary of Sigmund Freud, and they had a splitting of ways because they had different ideas about, what do you call it, consciousness, unconscious, and collective unconsciousness. He also coined the phrase anima animus, and the anima means that is the female counterpart of the male itself, and the animus is the male counterpart of the female. So that's what I was referring to. I mean, it's so predictable. And then you have...
Wait. Let's go back. What was that last line? So that's what I was referring to. I was talking about men getting in touch with female side themselves. I wasn't talking about sex. I wasn't talking about being gay or straight. So gender fluid doesn't have anything to do with being gay or straight, right? So I don't know what this is. And Billy D said he used himself and herself to describe themselves, right? So, I mean, that would be how gender fluid feel, and not, I can't speak for everybody or anything there, but just generally, that'd be something that would be consistent with being gender fluid. So yeah, I don't know if I'm not even familiar what like the Undefeated is and what their bias and how they report things are.
And then you have, oh yeah, here we have the only Star Wars movie, as far as I ever known, to lose money. What about Lando Calrissian reveals about the evolution of Star Wars? Evolution. And then you see The Verge. Lando Calrissian's newfound panness is BS. If you're not going to put your characters explicitly queer on screen, don't expect the brownie points. Well, yeah, because it's all just bait, gay baiting. That's all this stuff is. I don't know why the newer generations feel like there is a problem with classic stories. Do I think people should be calling for censorship or boycotting of a Cinderella movie? No. But I can guarantee you that some people are going to feel like, I don't want to take my kids to this movie, and that's their right. You're going to stand up and talk about how this is all for the kids, when in fact it's really all about Billy Porter. It's all about Billy and his dress-wearing brand. It's all about Billy getting more Instagram followers. It's all about Billy's new fancy hats.
Get your photos, darling.
It's not really about changing anything. Kids don't even understand what you're talking about. These are complex issues that most people can't understand late into their teens or even 20s. But sure, the kids are ready. I'm sure this won't totally blow up in your face. If we just look at the tweet, one of the many tweets, this one-way trip to Mars is looking more appealing. How can she be genderless if she's called the Fairy Godmother?
So he's arguing that the kids and stuff there, and it's not a conservative backlash or anything like that. And he's going to go show us the conservative backlash, right?
What? It's not a godmother then. Get woke, go broke. Number 101,752,000.
I mean, the number of things that you've claimed that have gone woke and will go broke have been next to nothing, right? Like, very few of them have ever panned out, Jeremy. So your coined get woke, go broke shit is, kind of redundant, right? Or not redundant. Redundant's not the right word. Kind of really not a thing that you think it is. It's just a nifty catchphrase that your brand is here. But yeah. Oh, no conservative backlash. Here it is. Liberalism is a mental disorder.
Western civilization took a wrong turn. Fairy Godpan? Fairy Godmother. The clue is in the title. This is getting ridiculous. And this is, coming from James Corden, which had a massive successful movie called Cats. Oh, wait, no, it was a gigantic flop, as I'm sure this will be as well. Enjoy the retweets on the new followers, Billy D, as Hollywood
Yeah, Cats. I have no idea how Cats did it. Probably was flop, but yeah, that was a ill-conceived movie to do, especially the way they did it. Right, the weird ass CGI and stuff was a weird thing, but yeah, we're about at the end of the video. There's not much else here. He's gonna go on, so we'll go to the meat and potatoes for the stream.